I just automated my entire inbox using artificial intelligence. It runs in the background writing drafts of emails for you, and it'll even categorize your emails using AI as well. Introducing the N8N Inbox Genie flow. In this video, I'll show you how to set up this entire thing from scratch in simple terms, so don't worry if you don't have any coding experience. Let's dive in. Yo, what's up guys, this is Ben with God of Prompt. How much do you think an automation like this is worth? Well, if a founder of a company values their time at $200 an hour, you save them 2 hours a week, you're effectively saving that company $20,000 a year. So it's very easy to justify a higher price point for this automation. This solution will run you about $24 a month for N8N and maybe a couple dollars a month for your AI calls. So with that said, let's create a new workflow. The first section of this flow is creating all of our labels. This will be something we manually do. So you want to select the manual trigger. Next, we're going to add a set field. This is going to let us set which labels we want to see. Like so. So anytime I'm sharing the screen here, you guys can take a screenshot, put that in ChatGPT and tell it to extract the text, so you can just set this up as well. If you wanted to change what your labels are, you would do it in this code. Next, we're going to add a get many labels step for Gmail. When you add that, double click in, add your credentials. If you haven't added your Gmail account yet, you can simply sign in with Google to the account you want to monitor with your Inbox Genie. And remember what credential you chose, because we're going to use that later in the flow. All good there, and as we build this thing, we want to start to test it one at a time. Everything seems to be good there, so let's add our next node, which is a code. In your code node, you'll set it up like this. Again, feel free to steal this code. Then we add a split out node after that, and we configure it like so. Next, we'll add a loop node just to kind of visually understand everything better. We're going to add a Gmail step, and this will be where we actually create the labels. Remember to update your credentials and add this code here as an expression. And delete that replace me guy. Back in Gmail, I have no labels here yet, so if we run this flow from end to end, we should see it loops through all of the items that we defined in our edit fields step, and that we have labels here, so let's refresh. And there we go, we've got our 6. And this you'll only need to run one time to set up your labels. So you can add a note here, kind of tells you what this is about so you don't forget. Now that we have added the labels, let's actually build the part where the AI is labeling the emails for us. So this is the second big section of our flow. So what do we want this to kick off? Well, we want it to kick off when a new message is received. Pick your right account and we should be good to go. Then we're gonna get a message from Gmail. Pick your account, and the message ID is gonna reference the ID from the past step here. So I'm going to save this and refresh, and I'm gonna write a fake email to myself to test out our flow. Hey, Ben number 2, this is Ben number 1. Since we both have the same name, could we add our last names to our work profiles? So if we send this, and if we hit execute workflow, it should grab that email. In get message, it is indeed grabbing the contents of our message. I'm gonna click these and hit P on my keyboard so we pin the data. Now we need our AI to assign labels to each message. So we're gonna get a basic LLM chain. I'm gonna rename it, and you can copy the configuration here. Like so. So we need to assign a model here, or the actual AI brain that it's going to use. So let's choose OpenAI chat model. If it's your first time setting this up, you'll create a new credential. It asks for the API key as a required field. The way you get that is by going to platform.openai.com/API-keys, create a new secret key, name it something like N8N flow. I'm going to say delete later because remember your API key is like a password. Copy that. paste it into there, and remember, this will start to run up your OpenAI bill as you execute this step over and over. As far as the model goes, models are always changing. The one that's out right now is GPT-5, so I'll just do GPT-5 mini for testing purposes here. Should be pretty quick. The next thing we want to do is add an output parser. We want to define it ourselves, and here is what that code looks like. So this step will assign labels for each message and output it in a nicely formatted output. And you see it's identified, it's an inquiry, right? Our original email was an inquiry because we have the same name, can you add your last name to your profile? So it's correctly categorized that. Then we'll add a set node here. We're gonna rename it to set label values. It's just taking this output into something we can more easily use throughout the flow. Next, we're gonna add a get many labels Gmail step. All you gotta do is update your account, then add a split out node, name it like so, and make sure you specify the field to split out. Then we're gonna merge these two streams together, make sure they're connected, and configure this node like so, including the name. Then we want to add an aggregate node and configure this like so, including the name. Then we'll add an add labels node from Gmail, connect that bad boy, and again configure it like so. All right, now we're able to test the second part of our flow, which uses AI to grab the label and to assign it to that message. So here is the message that we just sent that we should be getting the label on, and you can see the inquiry label was added just then. But wait, there's more. Now we're gonna have AI automatically generate drafts of replies to emails for us. If you guys appreciate this no BS approach to showing you how to set everything up step by step, please like the video because it helps us out a lot, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any overpowered automations. So when do we want to trigger writing a reply to an email? Well, it's when we receive a new email. So add the trigger down here on the bottom on message received. Set up this step like so. While we're at it, let's fetch our test event so we have some data to pin and work with. Let's add another basic LLM chain. This is going to be the step that assesses if our message needs a reply. Set it up like so. Here is the full prompt, so make sure you copy that in. From above, we know we have to specify the OpenAI chat model for it to have a brain. Change your account and model to whatever you want. I'm just choosing a small model for testing. We're gonna again add a JSON parser, and I'm also renaming it. So yeah, make sure you have defined JSON schema here. We can test this thing. And it's all green, so let's move on. We're gonna check, we're gonna do different things depending on if we need a reply. So we're gonna switch this to the Boolean of is true, change this to expression, and put our needs reply from the previous step here. Looks like it's giving us the data in a slightly different format. Just pull that in. So it's detected it's true, and it's going to follow this path. So in the case we do want to reply, we want to first, well, we're going to call AI, but we want to first set a variable about our business that will give AI all the context about the business it needs. Go ahead and add a set node, configure it like so. This part is a big JSON code snippet about your business. So in our flow raw, it looked like that, but actually it's neatly formatted and pretty easy to read. So you are using this to identify your objectives, your challenges, motivations, etc., to give the AI as much context as possible so it can make an informed decision about what text to write back to a message. So you can certainly steal this and, you know, just brain dump all of your company information here and tell AI to write this again, but with your company info instead. Then you'll put that in this value here in the about business field that we're setting. And there we go. That's the output, is everything about our business AI could possibly want to know. We're going to add another basic LLM chain. After we've set that variable, we're going to go for the OpenAI chat model again, going with 5 nano, and we'll want to configure this agent like so, or this chain rather, generate email reply. The way this is set up, our chain, the prompt is the subject and message of the email. So it'll look like this. Then this is the system message we're sending. We're saying to the AI it's a helpful personal assistant that will draft replies. Here's where we insert the information about your business in JSON format. Here's where we tell it about the tone, some guidelines. So when we execute this, we should get a custom email response for the original request. Here is the message. Hello, thanks for the heads up. I can add your last names to our work profiles to reduce misrouting. So we've got the email text here in this one item. Now we want to create a Gmail draft. Create a draft. Copy this setup. Let me make sure I get the whole expression here in this step. Remember we had this email with inquiry that we assigned to it? Well, when we run this step, we should create a draft response to it. If we go back to Gmail and refresh, we see the email automatically populated for us. Thanks for the heads up. We can do this, and I'm, clarifying some more things. If we want to log that somewhere, we can use, for example, Notion. So before we add a Notion step here, let's go ahead and open this guy up. You can add a new page, make it a database, empty database, new empty data source, and then you'll want to copy this database. So this title, the name column is there by default, but you'll want to add number type columns by going to add property number, and then you want to rename it to these guys exactly. Make sure you copy these this text exactly. Then add a last updated column as well by adding a date type and renaming that. And you want to make one page in here. Just name it this for now because it'll match some of the code later in the flow. So keep this ready and to the side. Next, we're going to connect Notion to N8N. Back in N8N, let's add another Notion node. This will be get database page. So we've got N8N on the left, Notion on the right. I'm going to show you how to connect these. Yours will be red if you've never connected it. Create a new credential. And it's asking for this internal integration secret, which is just your password for N8N to use Notion for you. In Notion, when you're connecting anything outside of it, you have to add a connection a page at a time. So you're only granting access to one page right now. So you will show no connections here. You'll want to come in here to manage connections. Scroll all the way down. Develop or manage integrations. I think my face was covering that, sorry. Then when you're here, new integration. Name it something. Make sure you are selecting the correct workspace that you created your page under. And that's all you gotta do. Click save and configure. And what do you know? There is the internal integration secret that we want. Paste that bad boy in there and hit save. Last thing you want to do is come back to Notion, and under your connections, now we can add the connection that we just created. And it's saying, hey, N8N will be able to do stuff on this page, and we agree. Now back in N8N, if we execute this step, oh, I did not add the URL here. So you don't want to grab the URL of just the entire database. You want to click the first page, then copy the URL, then paste it in there, and you should be good to go. Here we go, we've grabbed the data from this page. Next, we add a code node that compares what was already in the database with the updated stats, right? Because we've created a new draft and we're going to record that. The code of this node looks like this, and if you guys have been naming everything consistently, like in this video, you should be able to copy this as well. Then we're going to add another Notion node where we update the database page. Configure it like so. Remember to replace the URL with the one from the last Notion step. And go ahead and copy this config. And if we execute, we should see it was a success and that these stats will be updated. Last updated just now. Right on. That finishes our third section of this. So far we've added the labels, labeled the messages, and now we're drafting replies. For the very fourth and last section where we're going to update the stats, we're going to create another Notion database like this that keeps track of the number of threads that are in each of our labels, as well as the number of emails and unreads in each category. The trigger for this flow is going to be on a schedule. It's going to be once every 6 hours. We're going to add another set fields node, and this is going to include our labels. So if you've changed your labels up here, you'll also want to do it in this node. They should be the same. We're going to get a database page from Notion. So again, you're coming into Notion, adding a new page, a database, empty database, and you want the types, the names of the columns, and the types of these guys as well to exactly match for the purpose of this tutorial. And then you'll come and add a new page for each of your labels. Just type them in one by one like that. For this URL, we can simply take the one at the higher level at the database page level, paste that into the URL, and let's test this out. And as long as we have all of the labels and the URLs here in the output, we're good to go. We're going to add a Gmail get many labels step. So grabbing the existing labels, add a code node that's run once for all items. Here is the code itself. See, it's referencing the exact names of these fields we defined earlier. So, you know, if maybe you're testing this or running into some issues, make sure as you're following along, you're naming the nodes the same things that I am. All this does is translate the data from the left side to something more easily usable on the right. I'm just adding another split out node here, and to refine the data a little more, let's add a loop over items, saying you may not need this, but I like to do it just to help visualize the flow. So when this is looping, we want to get a label info like so. Then we'll add another Notion node to update the database page. Remember, not a page, not a database page. So you should already have your Notion account there to select. When you're looking at this step, just make sure it's referencing the right name of the steps, right? So my past step is loop over items. So when I originally had loop over items 1 here, it was showing red, just deleted that 1, now it's green. Yeah, it just has to match, you know, whatever the name of this previous step is. Next thing we need to do is give N8N access to our Notion page in the same way we did with our other stats page. So let's go to this new page we just created. Go to connections, you will not have these. Add connection, and you'll look for the one we created earlier. Confirm. Now when you execute step, you should get that it executed successfully. Let's test this one from end to end. It's going to loop over all the labels and see if it can pick up any new stats. Here's what is the result in our database. And that finishes up the fourth and final part of our inbox genie. Can you believe it? I personally love automations like these. They're not super complicated with a ton of nodes and a ton of complex AI logic and prompting. It's just very straightforward, but if you could save the founder of a company a couple of hours a week, I mean, the ROI on this automation are just huge. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.